So, guys, really excited today to be bringing to you a beautiful woman from down in Port Hedland, Kelly Wickham, who's been on our program for 18 months plus now. Here to share her story, basically a little bit about what it was like before she came to us and started doing her inner work, what's changed through that process, who she's become, and what life is like now. She's got a very quite inspiring story and transformational story, one of, I guess, self-acceptance and learning to love and be true to herself, and can't wait for you guys to hear it. But Kelly, welcome, first of all. Thanks for joining me today.
Thanks for having me.
No, you're welcome. Thanks for coming on. Let's get straight into it. What was the situation that kind of made you, or what was going on in your life that made you want to join the program in the first place?
I think for me, I'd really brought myself so far, and in terms of a transformation, and I was really looking for a bit of help to figure some stuff out. I was feeling pretty lost. I'd hit a wall in terms of as far as I could go on my own, I guess, and I was looking for a little bit of someone to hold my hand through the hard stuff is probably a good way to look at it, and really point out what the hard stuff is I really needed to address to keep moving forward.
Okay. And so what was the goal? What were you wanting to achieve, or what were you wanting to see change in? What area of your life, or what kind of work was it specifically?
I think for me, I was feeling really stagnant, and I just didn't know how to get out of that. And that's where I needed to figure out how to stop feeling stagnant. I guess I couldn't make decisions. I didn't know what I wanted. I wanted to have a bit more of a plan of what I wanted, where I needed to go, and how to get there. So
yeah, wow. And so was that just a specific area of your life, or all of your, everything in your life? Like when you say I was feeling a bit stagnant, a bit lost, what did that relate to?
Pretty much nearly every aspect of my life.
Yeah, wow.
Bar my career.
Yep.
My career, I've always known what to do in terms of my work, and what I've wanted to do, and I've always been pretty goal driven there. And that throughout this process it's still obviously I'm satisfied in the work that I do, but it's just everything else in my life that I was just no idea. I was like, well, when I started, I think I was 33 and completely had no idea what I wanted to do with the rest of my life.
Wow. Okay, awesome. And so what were, I really want to go into that. I had no idea what to do with the rest of my life. But before we go into that, what were some of the thoughts that you had around coming to see someone or coming to talk to someone? Like, what was going on in your mind there? Like, was it scary? What were you thinking? Like,
I was a bit hesitant, not because I was coming to see someone professionally. For me, people have these roles for a reason, and you hope that the professionals kind of know what they're doing. And it's not the first time I'd talked to professionals about stuff. And but for me, I didn't feel like I needed therapy, but I needed something.
Yep.
I needed just a little bit of guidance, and I was a bit hesitant because I was like, oh, is this going to be just a fake feel good, send me some mantras and stuff every day. I was like, I was a bit I don't know.
Sure.
But then I thought, what have I got to lose?
Yeah.
If it's not for me, it's not for me. I can give it up at any time. So
Totally.
I always think that that's always the decision maker in the end is well, what have you got to lose? In terms of giving it a crack.
Very cool. Okay, and so you came on, you started working with Em, so one of our coaches here, and I know you guys have a very special bond, connecting for so long. She just raves about you. You said you came and you're feeling lost and kind of didn't know, other than work, every other area of your life was kind of uncertain. How did you start to work through that? What were some of the things, if you can think back and remember, what were some of the things that you learned or started to uncover, that helped you to start working through that stuff? Like, that's a pretty big job.
Yeah, so I first started with the goals and intentions workbook.
Yep.
But I guess when I first met Em, we did have a bit of a connection straight away.
Mhm.
And that helped. That helped build upon a relationship. And we were talking about it obviously the other day. From where we started to where I am today with her. And you know, for me, we needed to establish some sort of relationship so that I could trust her and be
Sure.
honest with her and myself. And so I knew going into this, I was like, I have to be as transparent as possible if I want it to work. And that meant also being that transparent with myself. So the goals and intentions workbook for me was, yeah, it was a little far-fetched in terms of like my goals and intentions.
Sure.
I don't think I was as honest with myself.
Sure.
But, you know, it became a sort of working document, and it became a tool to, you know, embrace some of those strengths and start coming up with direction, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
But, yeah.
Okay, cool. And so then, what was it that was stopping you from, working out what you wanted to do with the rest of your life? What were the things that were holding you back, do you think?
I think a lot of what was holding me back is, well, you know, in some ways I had dreams and I didn't know how make, to break it down into like everyday steps.
Yeah, wow.
And, you know, I still have dreams that aren't broken down into everyday steps yet, but now I know kind of how to do that.
Yeah.
And I think for me, finding a little bit of like these grandiose things that I'd love to do and where I had been and what I wanted to do, how to achieve that was quite overwhelming.
Sure.
And by just, I guess, you know, and having someone keep me accountable, that was another huge thing, is that it was all great to say like, oh, I want to achieve this. But unless someone was holding me accountable, I really wasn't doing anything to start working towards it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it was kind of like putting out my goal or my intention with Em or my coach, and then having her follow me up on every little step was really important. She wasn't a drill sergeant, but she'd just be like, so how are you going with this? And I'd be like, oh, yeah. I've kind of achieved some of it.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Knowing that someone was going to be checking in with me every week.
Yep.
And I was being held accountable, so then I had to hold myself accountable, like, and checking in on things and bringing me back to the achievable, I think was really important as well.
Totally.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Like, if there's one thing we know, is that the action has to be love-based in order for it to stick and in order for it to stay. And, you know, and at the same time, any kind of goal or dream without action is just a wish. So if I can kind of fuse the two, as in like love-based action, and start to do those small steps, like you say, then I can actually achieve the things that I do want.
Yeah.
Very cool. Very cool. What have been some of your biggest breakthroughs or light bulb moments? What are some of the things that have really made shifted your mindset, or shifted your insight, your experience of the world?
I definitely think learning to be kind to myself
Wow.
has been a major breakthrough. And not just that, but embracing my strengths that I thought were weaknesses.
Yep.
Um,
Wow.
it's been really huge because it's obviously led to like, I really love myself, no matter what size or what I look like or, you know, anything like that. I truly love the person I am. And that was major for me, like major.
Yeah. Wow. That is major, and I can see you a bit emotional even saying it. Um, yeah, and that is truly major. Like, it's funny, I did a podcast with Cohen Ray, and it came out this morning, and at the very end of it, he asked me, what's the best advice you ever heard, or is there one piece of advice that you say? And the advice I said was, be kind to yourself. And I sensed that he kind of got like in the room that he was kind of a bit like, oh, is that it? But for me, like, that's absolutely major. For those of us that aren't kind to ourselves, or have lived lives where I have beaten myself up, or had a mind or an experience of life that I was really hard on myself, like, to be able to say I love myself, huge.
Yeah.
Literally,
and
like,
learning what kindness is for me.
yeah.
So kindness for me is not running a bath and
yes.
lighting some candles.
Yes.
For me, kindness is managing my self-talk, is giving myself time away from others. Like, that was the huge journey, is like learning what kindness meant to myself. So then I could provide that and give myself that space to be kind.
Yeah.
And once I was being really kind to myself, I'm like, hey, this chick's a cool chick. Like, she's got some stuff going on. And I was so able to process emotions once I was being kind to myself, and recognize that and talk myself through it, and really adult myself, I guess, just from learning what is being kind to myself.
Wow. And you say just from learning, but at the same time, it's like that's the secret to, well, we believe that's one of the key ingredients to happiness and contentment. Like, learning who I am, who am I, what do I like? It's not running a bath, like you said, or candles necessarily. It's about being kind to me. So who is this person, for starters, and then how do I practice kindness toward them? Amazing. Okay, and so done that, like achieving that, practicing kindness to self, starting to actually like who you are as a result. How did that then change life for you? Like, what's life like now? What's your experience? How's your experience different to how you were when you first came to us?
I think so. Now I'm a lot more in tune with my needs, and I have no fear in expressing what they are, and being able to communicate them. So that was really huge for me, is that I was recognizing really bad patterns that I had allowed myself to be in, and I was no longer going to be taking those patterns on, because they weren't being kind to myself.
Can I
ask, being kind to myself.
Oh, sorry, you go. You finish.
Yeah. Well, being kind to myself is not allowing those patterns to continue.
Okay. I was going to say, what were some of the patterns? Do you mind sharing what some of the patterns are or were?
Absolutely. So, the key one, and I think that everyone would understand this, is that I was a people pleaser.
Yep.
Because I didn't want to upset anybody or upset the apple cart. So I was allowing myself to be in toxic relationships with friends, family, and with like partners.
Yep.
I was allowing toxic relationships in my life where I couldn't express myself or express what I needed, and the relationship was one way. And that was really toxic on me and what I needed and how I was feeling about myself. I was always allowing myself to be in relationships with people who are emotionally unavailable. That was a huge one, because then I didn't need to be emotionally available. And so therefore there was no vulnerability, there was no meeting needs, there was no expressing emotions, and it was kind of fear-based as well. So yeah.
Very clever strategy, right? For someone who doesn't want to, perhaps get hurt or left or, abandoned or, whatever, to people please is a very clever strategy short term. If I just be everything you want to be, or everything I think you want to be, then you can't leave me, essentially.
Mm-hmm.
But the problem is that in doing so, we abandon ourselves and then start to get angry and dirty on ourselves. And then that starts to be pointed at the other person as well. And we end up, no one's happy long term.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's amazing from there how you then can, I guess, I really feel like I became an adult through the process, like,
Wow.
because I could adult myself, and really talk myself through processes. In that, I actually ended a relationship in an adult way and managed to maintain a connection and friendship, and managed to feel good about it at the same time. Like, who does that?
Yeah,
you
totally.
know
Yeah.
um
So
yeah. I managed to put boundaries around relationships with family, so that I can feel positive about them, even though it may not be others getting their needs met. That the most important thing was that I can maintain some connection with those boundaries in place.
amazing, amazing. And what effect has that had on your, I guess, sense of self-worth and self-esteem and self-belief? Like being able to, no longer people please and stand up for what you need, or in relationships that you knew deep down were unhealthy, but in the past you might not have been able to end, or have the boundaries with the family. How did that have an effect? Being able to do that stuff, how did that affect your self-worth or self-esteem?
Oh, it's huge. It's absolutely, that's huge, because I'm no longer compromising my own, I guess, authenticity.
Yep.
My value in self and my value in what I need is huge, because I won't settle, I won't be treated any other way than what I deserve to be treated, and what my needs
Yeah.
are not compromised for anybody else. In
Wow.
that, like, it's ridiculous, but, well, it's not ridiculous, but it's funny, because in that I wrote a list of what I do deserve in a relationship, and I won't accept anything less than that.
Amazing.
And and I won't compromise on that now. And they're the things I look for.
Wow.
Yeah.
And have you noticed that start to shift? So that's like your inner work around that. I've learned, okay, what are my values? I'm not going to abandon myself. I'm going to be true to myself. This is all I want. Have you started to notice that shift externally in the external world, like in friendships or other, relationships or family or work or whatever?
Absolutely. Like, my family still try to push the boundaries, as all family
As
do.
family do. Yep. Yep.
But you know, uh, my ability to communicate or push back on that is so much more respectful, instead of just not being able to control my emotions. I'm able to communicate that no, this is where I'm at, and I would just appreciate that you would respect that, and being able to communicate it in a way that they understand is huge.
Amazing.
um yeah, it has changed a lot of relationships. Sometimes, I've completely lost a relationship, but in my mind, I've now accepted that that's it's relationship has to be two-way street. And for many, many years, those relationships were, I give, they take, and nothing else happens. And that's not a relationship. So
Yes.
I don't feel like I don't feel like I've lost relationships or connections, because there never really was anything there. It was me doing all the work. And I've learned, like, actually I need to do the work to give myself what I need. And
Yes.
I need to take care of myself by putting that energy back on me.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. And like you talk about it like it's really easy, right? You talk about it like it's like, oh wow, I got all this stuff, and I know you and I both know it's not really easy, like because that can be really, really hard. That can be really emotionally difficult, letting go of relationships that aren't serving
Yeah.
us. Uh, were there any
You
processes?
definitely grieve them.
You what? Sorry.
Yeah. You definitely grieve them.
Absolutely, yeah. Were there any
Yeah.
processes or practices that kind of helped you through that stuff? Like, was there anything that any kind of little things that you learnt or am taught or stuff that you practiced that helps through those tough times?
I guess, for me, my discussions with Em were always really reflective. And so we worked a lot around grieving those, what were my ideas of the relationships I had. Like, so, like, for example, my relationships with certain family members, and I was grieving the idea of it. And once I learnt that what I thought was a relationship and what actually was,
wow.
were disconnected, I was able to really move on from that, because I was recognizing I wasn't actually losing anything. I was gaining stuff for myself,
Yeah, wow.
because they were losing, but they couldn't recognize it. So once I could really understand and reflect that it was an idea of something, not an actual thing,
Yep.
it was really easy for me, I guess.
Yeah,
Once I could connect that. Yeah, it was really easy. I no longer get upset or emotional, because I'm like, well, that was my idea of that. So, maybe I need to, just establish what I need elsewhere, because those people can't provide what I need. So, yeah.
So kind of separating myself from the story that my head made up around this situation.
Yeah, that's
Wow.
obviously a better explanation.
Well, no, it's just we said
Yeah.
the same thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Amazing. Okay, and so what is life like now then? If that's what it was like, I was kind of lost, didn't know what to do in anything other than work. Unhealthy patterns in relationships. What's life like now?
I think when I first started, I just wanted to go back to when I was happy Kelly, when I was this, but I realized you can never go back. And I've embraced everything I am now. And now I'm just confident in who I am. And we have to have the daily conversations with myself.
Sure.
I say we because, there's a few personalities going on there.
Yeah,
there's a few conversations being had with, my adult self, my child self,
Yep.
My adolescent self. And I am having the conversation daily about where I'm at, who I am. We don't have to worry what other people think of us, and reiterating that conversation when, my adolescent self pipes up and goes, but all those people might be talking about me. I'm like, what other people's talking about me is none of my business. And once I have that conversation, being confident in myself that, what, that's me, that's what I've said, that's what I've done, I own it. If someone's not happy with that, they can come and have a conversation with me about it, but this is me and this is it.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's, I guess, where I'm at now, is the confidence to be that, and to have that, and to be that person, and just to be myself. There's no fear in being myself. If people don't like it, it's not about me, it's about them.
Yeah, wow. And it's so cool to hear you say that. The concept is very common. A lot of people say that. It's not about you, it's about them. But very few people actually get it. Very few people can actually say they live from that place. And I know you can. The way you're saying it, the way you're sharing it, I know you're actually no, you know what, I get it. Yes, my head can still be loud. Yes, my head can still think, wonder what might people think about it. You know what? Mine too. But it doesn't matter what we think. It matters what we do.
Yeah.
Right? And as long as I'm not abandoning myself and I'm honoring myself and going, you know what? Yes, my head's worrying about that, but I'm still going to do the thing, and I'm going to support myself through the thing. Yeah,
because
get that confidence.
once we start acting from our fear-based emotions and from the pressures of what other people want of us, we are abandoning ourselves. We're not being our authentic selves, because we're coming from a place of fear and emotion.
Yep.
And we're not processing those things. I think I can say it's them, not me, because I can also sit back and think, well, what am I feeling? And I wonder what they're feeling. So they might be acting from a fear-based place. And once you can really process that, you can say, actually, it's not me. It's not me. When you can really recognize that it's not me, and because they're actually acting from a place of their need and place of their emotions, and they're really not sure what they want, and you can recognize that, then you go, actually, it's not me. And I don't need to take that personally, or I don't need to take that on board, or I don't need to respond to that
Yeah. Wow.
because it's not about me.
Wow.
Yeah.
Amazing. And it's like the fact that you can say that and that you can access that compassion, it tells me that you've actually done a whole lot of healing, right? Because until I can heal and get out of my fight or flight, survival focused thinking, I can't access
Yeah.
that place of compassion to sit here and go, I wonder what's going on for them. I wonder
Yeah.
how they're feeling
Absolutely.
about this, So it kind of like opens my life, my world to a completely different place where it's not just about me and trying to change the way I feel and fix my feelings right now, you know. It's
Yeah.
about, this much wider world that opens up and go, oh, wow, there's all these other people doing this, all this other stuff. Most often fear-based, survival-focused stuff themselves. It has nothing to do with me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I guess the next step was for me is recognizing when I was behaving that way. So when I was triggered. So I can always recognize if I'm not being compassionate, if I can't see where someone else is coming from and think about that, then I'm triggered and I'm becoming reactionary, which is not where I want to be. So that's when I can go, ooh, okay, you need some time out. You need to be kind to yourself because you're in a good space where you can respond instead of reacting.
Yeah, wow.
And so finally being able to come to that point and recognize that the space of being triggered or being in that spot is also my self-care. It's like now I can recognize it. I know how to deal with it and kind of take care of myself.
So it sounds like through your inner work, you now have a template to be able to face anything that life throws at you, basically.
Yeah.
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 So good.
I mean, it's a process. I think, forever we'll be always working on the process. And I think I had gotten so far in a process already before I joined, Awakened Lifestyles. But by joining that, it's kind of got me into the next phase, next part of adulting, really, is what
Absolutely.
I say to Em.
I love the way you say adulting.
Yeah.
And it is because a lot of us, particularly those of us that have experienced tough stuff in the past, and that's pretty much everyone I know, but some of us to more degrees than others, like a lot of that emotional development can become arrested, right? And a lot of the emotional development can cease. And so when you talk about adulting and growing up, I know that's what you mean, because you're like, yeah, actually I am being adult now and I am parenting myself and I am like a big girl,
Yeah.
So good.
It's not being reactionary. When we get caught in that adolescent space, which we all do when we've suffered trauma in that stage, or when we feel triggered, that's the space we go back to, which is our reactionary and emotive space. We're not adulting because we can't. And 100%. Until you can catch that and then parent those thoughts, you really can't move forward emotionally.
I hear you. So what are some of the things that you had to face or overcome in order to reach this new place?
Oh, so many. Many.
Stand out? And I know we don't need to get into, deepest, darkest kind of stuff on the internet,
no.
but what are some of the things that you might have had to face or overcome?
You know what?
Yeah.
My fear of vulnerability, my fear of weakness.
Wow.
I guess that's very general, but there were so many times where I had to not just open a wound, but stick my hand into it with Em. And they were incredibly painful moments that she carried me through. Even when I felt I had come to this amazing part of the journey, then more horrible stuff happened that opened up more wounds, and had to work through that with them. But it was really truly being vulnerable that got me really through it, and really opening up and being transparent about it all, about all the hurts, all the past wounds, all the current wounds, learning to be vulnerable, and that there isn't weakness in vulnerability. Actually, that is an amazing strength.
Yes, I was about to
It was
ask. I'm sorry,
huge.
you go. You finish.
No, it's huge. That's it. Yeah.
Yeah. I was actually about to ask. I was going to say, so what's your take on vulnerability then? Do you think that it's actually a weakness or a strength? And the fact that you've said, actually, that's where the strength lies, within that vulnerability. It's like if I just be myself and am willing to have those feelings and face that and be myself, then I don't have anything to hide anymore. There's nothing to run from. There's no mask to wear. Like, I don't have to pretend to be anything or anyone else. And as long as I can own that within myself, then there's nothing to be afraid of anymore. And most people just simply don't understand that. The caveat to that is, like you said, it's really damn scary to face. Yeah.
Absolutely. And I think people would really understand that feeling of like, not just the wound, but like then, sticking your hand right inside it. Like it is.
Why on earth would you do that?
Like, I know.
Yeah.
But as soon as and now it's great because as soon as I feel that fear, I'm like, hey, I'm going to embrace that and have a go at it. Like it's almost like a challenge to not just feel the fear, but when I feel the fear to go, right, I'm not going to let you control me. I'm going to feel this. I'm going to do this. I'm going to be exposed to this. And, because you're never really living if you're going to hide from the fear. Yeah.
Wow. Incredible. I'm grinning from ear to ear because it's like, she's got it. She's actually got it. It's so cool.
I always love saying to Em, it's like, yeah, I felt this emotion. Like I really, really felt it, but I didn't set up camp in it because I don't want to be there forever. I just, I feel all of these emotions now, and like I'll feel vulnerability, but I'm not going to set up camp in vulnerability. I'm going to move through it.
Love that.
And work through it. I'm not going to set up camp in, feeling sad and grief because it's always a process. Every emotion is a process. And if you set up camp in any of the emotions, you're kind of neglecting the rest. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's not necessarily reality either. Like, I love the fact that you're saying it is a process, and while I have this excellent framework to be able to now live the life that I want, life still lifes me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it's not like I'm magically fixed forever now and, happy days. Like, because that's not the case. And that's not the case for anyone. Like I said, life still does life us. However, our response and your response to life has certainly changed. And where I would act in fear-based survival-focused methods, now you're saying, actually, I face the feelings, I feel them. I do the one thing that was the scariest in the world to me, which is to be vulnerable. And as a result, I'm stronger and feel safer to be myself. Epic.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, the safety comes from your network, What's the saying? Your tribe's your vibes. So if you don't feel safe in your tribe, you ain't going anywhere. Yeah. You have to find that safety in your network, your safe people, people you can be vulnerable with. Because if you can't be vulnerable with the people in your life, you've got the wrong people in your life.
100%. Yeah. I agree. So we've talked about some of the stuff that you've lost in terms of relationships and friendships and stuff like that and limiting beliefs. What are some of the things you've gained?
Oh, some self-respect. Value in myself. Really hard lines, like really hard boundaries that I don't let people cross, including in work now. Like, I was so successful in my career because I would do whatever it took. Now I'm like, no, that's going to burn me out, so I'm not going to do that. Or, no, I'm tired, so I'm going on leave. Like, very different. I'm still successful in my career, but it's with boundaries now. With boundaries. What have I gained? I feel like I've just kind of gained myself back. I learned who I am. I'm okay to say no to things constantly now. I feel no shame in it. No shame in anything, really. Like,
yes,
I think I love that. Like, they're just like, this is me, and I'm not going to feel ashamed for who I am or what I like or what I do, or, but I've been able to do all this while keeping my kindness and my compassion. And that's been really important to me because they're important things to me.
Yeah, wow.
But kindness and compassion to self, I've realized, is important too.
Yeah. So good. That's incredible. Wayne Dyer talks about, and I share this often. He talks about, get an orange, squeeze an orange. What do you get? Like what?
Juice.
What type of juice?
Orange juice.
Yeah. How many times you got milk out of an orange?
No.
0, right? How many times you got vodka? 0. And so out of the billions and billions of oranges that have been on the planet, the only thing we get when we squeeze it out of every single one is orange juice. And same thing applies to us. If I'm practicing kindness to self, if I'm practicing love to self, if I'm practicing compassion for self, then that's what's going to come out of me, and that's what I'm going to experience in my life. It doesn't mean that there's anger there, because anger can be healthy sometimes. It doesn't matter that doesn't mean that there's not going to be sadness at times too also. But if I do my inner work over time, I'll learn to respond with kindness, with love, with compassion, because that's what I'm practicing for myself.
Yeah, absolutely.
Incredible. Wow. I'm actually really overjoyed to have this conversation. Like, it's so nice to, I can feel it. Like, I can feel it. You're the real deal. Last question, Kelly. What would you say to someone who's kind of at a crossroads, or, in a similar position to perhaps where you were, uncertain of what to do, maybe a little bit skeptical, knew they have to address some stuff or look at some stuff in their life? What would your kind of advice be, or what would you say to them?
I think what I said to myself at the start of the whole process: what have you got to lose?
Yeah,
I mean, you're already feeling terrible about things, you're already feeling lost. Like, even if you invest in this, like, what have you got to lose?
Yeah.
Like, you're already not going anywhere. You're already struggling with things.
Yes. Yes.
Like,
yeah.
You're already lost.
Yeah.
I don't think you're going to get more lost.
Wow.
I think that, be brave, be vulnerable, and be transparent with yourself. And then you got nothing to lose.
Yeah. Wow. Amazing. It's so funny, like you say, you're already lost. It's kind of like, well, I'm trying to avoid having an unpleasant feeling, but I'm already having an unpleasant feeling. So I'm just going to sit here having this unpleasant feeling while I don't do the thing that might work, but I'm scared of, maybe failing or bringing me an unpleasant feeling. It's insane. But it's funny how we stay stuck there, right?
I think people's biggest fear is the fear of failure.
Yeah.
But my biggest fear is not starting at all.
Wow.
It's like, failure is just part of the journey. But if you don't even start the journey, then you're just letting yourself down.
100%. Like,
you can't even fail if you don't start. Like, so just start.
Yeah. But at the same time, there's a bit of a dichotomy, I guess, because if you don't start ever, then that's probably the only way you could fail too, right? Like, if you never attempt it, like, it's funny because that's the only way humans learn is through failure.
Yeah.
Like, that's how I learned to spell my name.
But are you really living life if you don't start at all? Like,
exactly.
People say they want to live life, but if you're not giving things a crack, then you're not really living. Yeah.
Agreed. Oh, I'm so glad you took the journey, and I'm so glad you had the vulnerability, and you know what? For someone who was so scared to express vulnerability, I don't know if you'd have been someone who'd get on a video like this, 18 months ago, right?
Oh, definitely not. I'd had my share of being recorded. I was like, nope. But truth is, kindness and compassion is for everybody out there. And, like I said, if my story could help anyone anywhere, I'm always happy to share something to help other people.
Yeah,
And, I've done that before and I'll continue to do that. But if what I've been through can help others get through it, then I'll give it a crack.
amazing. Kelly, thank you so much for joining us. It's been an absolute honour and pleasure to
Anyways.
have you here.